Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the Arab State strongly condemns the terrorist attack on the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu. The implementation of the digital transformation of tax administrations. For the international scene in Chad, opening of the national dialogue to open the way to the elections. Welcome to our newsroom. President Gelle strongly condemns the terrorist attack against the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, has strongly condemned the terrorist attack on the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu, which resulted in the death of nearly 20 people and an even greater number of injuries. The killing perpetrated in Mogadishu is the latest horror signed by criminals without faith and or law, said the head of state. Their violence is all the more despicable because they targeted innocent, defensible, unarmed citizens. He continued, the terrorism is the heinous work of a project doomed to failure. Its greatest mistake is the gain the consent of the public through intimidations and fear, said the President of the Republic, who expressed his sad condolence and the full expressions of his compassion and solidarity to his counterpart Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, the government and the people of Somalia, and families, relatives, and friends of the victims. I wish a speedy recovery to the injured of this attack, said the head of state. The terrorist attack against the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu lasted for nearly 13 hours. The Somali Armed Forces and security forces ended late Saturday night the assault launched Friday early evening by the terrorists against the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu. In Somalia, at least 20 killed in Shabab attack. In Mogadishu, at least 20 people were killed in an attack by radical Islamist Shabab on a hotel in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. Listen to Kasir Ali.
20 people were killed in an attack radicals al-Shabaab Islamists on hotels in the Somali capital Mogadishu. Security forces had been trying to neutralize the gunman inside since the day before, security officials said on Saturday. The jihadists stormed the popular Hyatt Hotel on Friday evening in an exchange of gunfire and explosion with the security forces before taking refuge in a room of establishment. Security forces rescued dozens of civilians, including children who were trapped in the building, said Mohammed Abdul Qadir, security official, adding that most people were rescued. The attackers were still holed up in the hotels early Saturday with the gunfire and loud explosion heard in
The Minister of Budget received today the visit of a delegation of experts and international technical partners as part of the launch and implementation of the integrated and standardized tax administration system project. This project is part of the project to support the modernization of public administration, a component initiated by the National Agency for State Information System. The delegation was led by Mr. Suleiman Sidibe, director of the SICTAS project, accompanied by Hani Michel, representative of the company Sogema Technologies, Mark Kamel, representative of the Canadian consulting firm CDD, which has helped to finalize the specification and requirements of Djiboutian administration. The Minister of Budget welcomed the delegation. He stressed that all his administration and its services were going to work hard to achieve this project, which aims to offer a unique tool of in our evolutions in the digital sky Djibouti. For his part, the Minister of Budget, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, said that the SICTAS project aims at improving the management of public resources with the following components: the management of public finances, the management of the human resources, the management of results, and their monitoring and evaluation. According to the Minister of Budget, He has indicated that the imperatives of urgency, necessity, and ambitions were put in place. The SICTAS project will allow for an overall of the tax information system, cross-cutting actions, and strategic reforms aimed at rationalizing public spending and state resources. All measures will be taken by the Ministry to ensure proper executions and achievement of the objectives assigned by this important project. The Ministry of Health, through the Directorate of Priority Health Programs and with the support of the World Fund, have conducted since July 20 until August 24, 2022, training cascade at the People's Palace for 59 civil society organizations in Djibouti City. This community training have for general objectives to sensitize associations and community health workers on the prevention of 3 priority diseases, namely HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria. In addition, this training will allow will allow the general population to know about the promotions of existing care services for each disease and the availability of care services technical platforms for the priority disease at the level of each care structures and at the level of hospitals. This activity is organized with the support of Djibouti aims to train 171 participants from different associations working in the field of health on the ways and means of preventive of priority disease. Still in news from the countries, a shower fell last night in the capitals, and this morning a team from RTD went through the arteries of the city of the state, and many secondary roads of the capital were invaded by the rain waters of the day before, like the Avenue 26. All the services concerned, namely ONIAD, OVD, and ADER, were working to evacuate the rainwaters with the help of the motorcycle pump and the tanker trucks provided for this purpose. The teams of the Urban Road Inspections Brigade are mobilized in the field to observe the state of the urban roads. Indeed, the last rains have caused some degradations of the urban roads. To remedy this situation, the Djiboutian Road Agency, the ADR, has dispatched a team of the inspection brigade to assess the state of the capital roads. The ADR team remains mobilized through the territory and ensure the maintenance of road traffic. It should also be noted that the ADR has set up an annual maintenance program, SPERA 2022, for which several roads will be rehabilitated. The Military Retirement Fund informs that physical control will be carried out on the banked pensioners. The pensioners will have to present themselves in front of the CMR counter with their national identity card before August 13, 2022. The Regional Council of Ali Sabih held this morning in the second ordinary sessions of the year 2022 under the chairmanship of the President of the Regional Council, Sharmaki Hassan Al-Lale. The Assembly debated on a set of important items that were on the agenda, namely the ongoing constructions of a project of antenna in the sub-regions Ali Adde and Holhol, 3 lots for 3 districts, the 3 converted steps for Ali Sabih, and a slaughter house for Ali Sabih, Ali Adde, and Holhol, as well as road signs. The chairman of the Regional Council opened the meeting with a very unifying speech to the elected officials of the Regional Council. He began his opening remarks at these second meetings with a very important quote from Henry Ford, which he said challenged him. Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, working together is success. Afterwards, he thanked the elected officials for their presence and their participation. This assembly is an important in the democratic life of the region. Such as assembly is a privileged opportunity to share, debate, and reflect on the futures of the region, and especially to implement the promises that the elected officials made during the election campaign. The President stressed that he is convinced that the elected officials are those who certainly know the regions and its population most intimately. He paid tribute to their dedications to the social success of the region. He emphasized that the elected officials are an essential reference point for society, and that he is fully aware of the heavy responsibility that each of and everyone assumes. He stressed that the regional council embodies the strength of the proximity of society, and such it is important to move heavens and earth so that everyone can flourish in the social missions for the rehabilitation of socio-economic projects in the region. The president of the Regional Council, Sharmaki Hassan Al-Laleh, stressed that the impact of socio-economic actions must be visible on the ground to better win social trust. He was assured to the total availability of the elected officials as well as those responsible for the deconcentrated services of the state to make progress on the big files for the benefit of the society. In a concern of continuity, proximity, shared consideration, the speech was closed with another quote from Zinedine Zidane: individual performance is not the most important thing. We win and lose as a team. With the recent rains, climate in Djibouti is softening and temperatures are largely down. The hot summers is driving way to milder weather for Djiboutians who with this new weather holidaymakers are thinking about returning to the country. The return of the holidaymakers has begun and simplified day by day. Listen to Kasra Ali for more detail.
Climate in Djibouti has softened and the temperature have dropped considerably. The hot summer has given way to milder weather for Djiboutians. With these new climate facts, holidaymakers are thinking of returning to the country. The returns of the holidaymakers has started as has been simplified day by day. This is evidenced by the flow of holidaymakers that an RTD team observed at the Loya border. On their return to the border, holidaymakers are subject to a process which consists of the COVID-19 test carried out by the agents of the hygiene service, which takes care of the holidaymakers, gather them under the same tent and distribute masks to them in order to protect them. Before being able to pass the COVID test, another step is necessary, and it is none other than the verifications of identities of travelers and their registrations in the register of the entry into the country. An operation of the capital important since it is part of the security of the country, and this operation is professionally carried out by the military station at the Loya border post. The travelers once arrive at this stage present his travel's document, which will be checked and recorded as the security measures. All travelers are subject to a compulsory baggage check by the customs service under the supervision of the military at the border post of Loya Ade to check the prohibited goods before being met at the premises of migration police. His men encourages of and determined confirm the uniforms work for the good of the country, have not scheme on their effort and continue to serve the nations brilliantly. The agents of the hygiene service said the COVID tests are carried out on a site and the response is immediate, whereas previously its people were confined to premises provide for this purpose. May today ended the long hours of waiting for answer for the hygiene service, and this thanks to the assistance of ministries of health, which has used all the means necessary to obtain the rapid tests for COVID-19 and thus facilitate the return of Djibouti holidaymakers. Holidaymakers who moreover take a long journey through sandy track and difficult mountain to cross the whole journey, quite complicated and exhausting in the eyes of holidaymakers, but rather than easy for the drivers of their vehicles, which makes the non-stop titles between Djibouti and Somaliland during the summer period. And the travelers of Djibouti to Somaliland during this heat wave period in Djibouti makes the happiness of these drivers who sees their income boosted. To find out a bit more about the pet taking and the obstacles that they faced during this rainy period, we approached some of its drivers. He said, back to the Djiboutian vacationaries after their passage of Loya at the border military post. It is the turn of the border and immigration police to welcome its vacationers to their premises. On site, a team of dynamic and remarkable young borders and immigration police officials are engaged and developed to receive and best service Djibouti holiday makers returning from Somaliland. In the visa room, the atmosphere is tired and exhausted. On the way back, his travelers they take turns in order to register and return to their homes. Borders and immigration police officials are hired at the work of facilitate the registrations procedures for its travelers. But all this operation is supervised and carefully mentioned by one man. It is Lieutenant Yassin Ahmed Idris, responsible for the borders post and immigration of the National Police in Loya at the border, a dynamic, humble, and wise manager on whom the whole of this operation is based. Lieutenant Yassin Ahmed Idris, responsible for the border post and immigration of the National Police in Loya Ade, is known for his firmness in always enforcing the letters of the immigration laws in force of the Republic of Djibouti. He uses all the means necessary to facilitate the procedures for vacationers who return to their country in the vacation months and who are going through a rather difficult journey. Last step for vacation returning to the country, he said, and the search of control of luggage by very customs officers who leave nothing to chance and the smallest details. He goes through all the travelers' suitcases with a fine-tooth comb that check prohibits goods and any product or materials illegally hiding in their luggage. Audit, search, and control have a single objective, that is to fight against the good or illicit product that concern.
For the international scene, Chad National Dialogue opens in N'Djamena. The Chadian National Dialogue started this Saturday. Listen for more details with Gasira Ali Umar.
Chadian National Dialogue started this Saturday at the initiative of these talks to pave the way for free and democratic election. The head of the Junta General, Mohamed Idris, described this conference as a decisive moment for the nation. For 3 weeks, 1,400 delegates from the military, government, civil society, oppositions, parties, trade unions, and rebel groups will discuss peace and new constitutions and the reform of Chad's institution. Originally scheduled for last February, the National Dialogue was postponed due to the disagreement between the various rebel groups. Finally, it is thanks to an agreement signed between the junta and around 40 groups on August 8 that this new meeting could be.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.